Blarvkicke! Ha! Blarvkicke was a series I created. The program that came out in 1995 was 3D Movie Maker, and I spent a lot of time on that. Here it is. Oh, right here. It's very convenient, isn't it? I agree. So, 3D Movie Maker, it's a very nice game, actually. Now it's easy to create cool movie masterpieces. You've got your own 3D movie studio with amazing sets, actors, special effects, music, and more to put in your imagination in motion. I tend to exaggerate it a bit. Really, there were a lot of bugs, and it was pretty terrible to someone who wasn't me then. Then again, I still like it because it's actually quite a nice program. There's been some amazing things done there through the fan community, mods, etc. One of these things was Blarv, which was a series created by a guy named Aaron Haynes who was on the internet. And the series was pretty unoriginal. I didn't realise that then. Do now. Don't care. And the series I created in tribute to the Blarv series was Blarvkicke, as aforementioned somewhat earlier. Blarvkicke was hands are like feet for your legs. No, I meant feet. Moving on, Blarvkicke was centric around a character named Gloucester. He didn't have a last name. We can sum up his character by one line in response to being partnered with Ashley, who has no last name. No one has a last name, as he works for an anti-terrorist organization, of course. It's obvious. You know, I wanted to be split up with Flat, but no, I'm stuck with you. He's a cheery one, isn't he? Ah, yes. And interestingly, he had this amazing ability to know everything about everything. So that's something. Now we're going to go on to Ashley, and I assume that there was some part of society that was ingrained into my brain to not write strong female characters. Ashley had no personality whatsoever. I think she was a love interest, but there was no love, romance, whatever. It was mostly just... I'm not sure how to describe this series, perfectly honest. Let's take a line from the villain, Darkatron. It's too bad you will have to die if you don't hand it to me. Hand it to me! My personal favourite from Timothy. Oh, Master, something very, very bad is happening. Someone in the town you told us to spy on has a $15,000 elemental fire sword. How can we stop him? He might even get help from friends. And in response, the Master, question mark, question mark, question mark, time will come very soon. Just wait until I can launch a powerful spell to get enough power to attack and destroy them. Also, don't let them die. Now go! Also, one of the main heroes was Plax. He was the assistant to a scientist who was robbed in the beginning of the story, and the investigators, who were Ashley and Gloucester, are people who he then met up with and said, so, that's my main power I can use. Is it okay? And promptly joined their gang. There wasn't a gang. He sort of joined this investigation into criminal activity because he had a power that was never explained or used. They could all use magic, by the way, interestingly. A lot of interesting things about this series. And then he didn't do much else from there. Most of the characters sort of stood aside while Gloucester led the glorious way into nonsense. And speaking of nonsense in the series, there was another plot twist that occurred. At some point in the series, there started to be flashes of time. It was the threads of time that were breaking, obviously, and at times, a white flash would happen, and bits of the story would just disappear, and then it would just skip ahead to a further plot, and the only person who could happen to remember all of the stuff that happened in between them was Gloucester. The flashes of time lacked explanation ever, and just sort of happened as a workaround for me having to actually explain what was happening. I didn't write these in hindsight, I just sort of wrote them as I went along. There are some scenes in it where all the villains and heroes are just together in a bar and just a series of things happen. The series makes no sense whatsoever! But of course the flashes of time happen, so that was an obvious explanation for them. What, flashes of time, obviously. Grrr. Grrr. And in the end, the main villain was the receptionist who appeared in the first scene. Just a building. Turned out it was her. Fancy that. First line being, yeah, he's bothering me a lot. But anyway, to the point, aisle 23, 7th door to your right. It's not a hospital or a grocery, but there are aisles, obviously, in a scientific lab. I just have this notepad document full of quotes from the whole series over the 4 movies I made. Then, after about what actually turned out to be only a single month of creating within the late 2006. Rewatching them, I realised that it didn't have an ending. It's just a final battle, everyone gathered to fight the evil receptionist, half of the other villains disappeared, who cares about them, and then it ends. Except one of the characters just leaves in a spaceship and leaves everyone else to die. Which I feel is a good ending. Summarises the whole series. And there was a remake I must have made. This is in it. So, there you go. That's Blarvkicke. Like Blarvkicke. And that, my wonderful little sugar flower plums, is the ending. I don't know what got into my mind that made me think that it was Christmas today, but apparently it is.